Welcome to the Last Awakening podcast. I am your host, Joshua David, and I'm here with Johnny Walker and our special guest, two-time MVP, Jeremy Wilson.
Oh, damn. Say my last name. What's up?
Well, we'll disguise your name.
Oh, yeah. Okay. What's up?
What's going on?
What's up, guys? How you like the new intro, Jeremy?
Yeah, I like that. I heard it last night or yesterday on the last video that I haven't still got to finish watching. But yeah, good.
Oh, it was on there?
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember that one.
No, this is a different song.
Yeah, it was on there. It was on there.
No, the one that was on there was this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a different
Yeah,
song.
it was that one.
on there.
Yeah, the new one has a little spooky vibe. Ooh, scary, spooky.
Uh-huh.
Well, people think we're starting a cult anyway, so why not?
May as well have the good music. You know what I mean?
Johnny might be starting a cult. I don't know.
My family thinks so anyway.
Maybe in the video we should have maybe we should have someone like praising like a blanket or something, you know?
We're already doing the video, dude. We're live right now.
No, I'm saying have an intro video of like someone like praising the blanket because they're saying it's a cult or whatever. So, and you guys are teaching people, remember? So yeah.
I don't think white dudes in a blanket would go over real well.
No, that might get ugly. That might get ugly. Jeremy referred to something just now that I want to touch base on.
Of course you do.
Already
started. He's already started, people.
I'm going to. I'm breaking down right now. Seems to be that people think that we are teachers, or that we
have started a church.
If we're a church, or we're preachers, or we're this or that.
No.
We have no doctrine. We are not teachers. We have said from the beginning, if we say something that resonates in you, you can take it as your truth or not. We're not telling people what to believe.
No.
We simply say that we seek first the kingdom. And you know what? If you have issues and you have questions, the Bible says seek first the kingdom and then all these things will be added unto you. And I had a realization today. Their problem with us is that we're not telling people what to do. If you go to church, whenever does anybody seek first the kingdom for their answers? They never do because they're told what to believe. It's in the church doctrine.
People are told to go to church. People are told to go down to the altar. People are told to confess. And none of them have ever sought the kingdom like they were told by the man who was here 2,000 years ago.
And even every verse in the Bible, the preacher tells you what that means from his opinion and the doctrine that he follows.
And
so there's
which
never
he got
any
from
seeking.
somebody else.
Exactly. There's never any seeking. I realized that today. I never sought anything of the kingdom when I was in church.
Right.
Also,
43 years. Go ahead, dude.
Also, just add in there, I remember, Pastor saying, seek the face of Jesus. Like, seek his face.
Yeah.
Not the kingdom, just somebody's face.
His face, yeah. His physical face, that when he walked the earth. So, but now you look at everything where I'm at in my spirit, is that what good would that have done to the fleshy man in the face? Like
None.
I want to find, I would want to find seek his spirit, not his face.
Yep. What was in
So
him?
That's another thing.
Yeah, I remember even like when I couldn't break through an issue and it was troubling me and stuff, and I'd be like just trying so hard to get an answer, and I would literally picture the face of Jesus. And what picture was that? The one hanging on all the walls in the church.
Yeah, I have that exact picture in my house.
Yeah, and I was just like, and now just to think of that is like, oh my gosh, no wonder why I got no answers. You know what I mean? No wonder why.
Because we weren't seeking the right thing.
Gotta seek the kingdom.
That's the truth right now.
Yeah, truth, love, everything that we call the Father.
Right.
So, just in case people don't know, joining us today is Mr. Jeremy. He's been on here before. He's a friend of ours for about 40,000 years now. By the way, Josh, I asked him, he did wear number 50. Thank you.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I thought about that. Like, long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first I asked him, he's like, how am I supposed to know that? I had to remind him. Yeah.
That was a lifetime
anyway,
ago.
It was a couple months. Yeah.
What's that?
Since you played basketball in high school.
It's been a couple months. More like 25 years.
Just don't talk about it like that, man. That makes me feel bad.
It's been that long ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually December before, where me and Josh was going around playing a lot of basketball.
Right. Oh, his wife wants a kiss. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah. So what's on the agenda here?
The agenda is Jeremy had a few questions, things that he had been thinking about, and so we decided to talk about them. So I'm not sure if Josh has stuff pulled up or not. Josh, you got something pulled up?
I got a few things pulled up.
Well, Jeremy, why don't you lay out first what your first question about? It's not something you think about.
Well, just one thing is, when in time did I'm assuming the church deem certain words as being profanity, cuss words, and why were they deemed that way?
Why were they deemed evil? All right, Josh, you got anything on that one first?
Yes and no.
All right.
Are we talking about like what normal people consider cuss words? Or are we talking about like what the Bible actually says is cursing?
What normal people today, like the F word or, SB, SOB, stuff like that.
Okay.
That's what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as that goes, they just decided. Usually that language is, I could tell you this offhand, usually that language is of the common folk, and they deem themselves above us, so they would outlaw anything that was common. And when I mean common, I'm talking about the people that they thought were the lowest of low. That was the speech that they used.
Right.
So
people that
all
were
your
beneath
curse
them,
words, that's where that came from.
It was uncouth. It wasn't proper.
Yes.
So, and that's kind of the thing that I've heard a lot too, listening to stuff
I mean, there's just regular history. I mean, it wasn't just the church. The wealthy had done the same thing. Whatever the common language was, they wouldn't use that. They would branch off and actually use like more sophisticated or bigger words instead of using the common language.
Yeah, you go over to like Britain, and you had like the royalty and the rich, and then you had like the commoners, or the street people.
So, as in like makes me think of the Grey Poupon commercial. You got the rich people, and they're talking with etiquette and elegance.
Yeah, and people that didn't have that.
Yeah, and they always talk. I was gonna guess what we would call of intelligent speaking.
Yeah, unintelligent.
So God forbid those people would ever say a cuss word. So it was meant as in like the poor people in the town that was more known for using curse words.
Exactly.
It was just their everyday speech, and it was the elites in the church that decided that they didn't want to use that common speech. It's kind of like the same things the mystery schools do, where they hide and use things to make themselves seem either more authoritative or smarter than they actually are.
Right.
It's to make someone else feel inferior.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So it's
church, it's basically class warfare.
Yeah, because like you look at the church back in the day, and you had mostly rich people there, right? And so if it was uncool for them, it was uncouth for them to say those kind of words, because poor people said those words. So automatically the church adopted
so they would
the
look
fact
down on
like,
those people, and then, well, if you're here, then we want you to uphold yourself in this manner here, like us, and talk like we do, and do these actions, but we're not supposed to be doing those things, right? We're not supposed to be doing rituals and all that nonsense. But hey, we're still doing them today.
And so all of a sudden, 1,000, 1,500 years later, those aren't just uncool to say; they're evil.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so necessarily then wasn't the church. Okay.
Well, no, it was the church, because that's where the rich folk ran, right? They're the ones.
The money people have always ran church.
Yeah.
Right, of course.
So it did have to do with the church, and they're the ones that push the narrative. Now you don't see people on the outside, rich or poor, giving a crap about cuss word. The church adopted it as it's always been, and the church is a bad thing. But now it's supposed to be evil. They even say that that's what you'll be held accountable for every idle word that proceedeth out of your mouth. And they said that's cuss words that's talking about. That's not cuss words.
No. We can't be held accountable for words that come out of our mouth, because
that's what they say. They teach it.
Well, because our sins are supposed to be forgiven, past, present, future.
According to the church you were going to there,
yeah.
So,
well, I mean,
so my question is, if that's the case in their church, then why do they have a problem with whatever you're doing? If the Father already forgave you for it anyway, if they think that what you're doing is wrong.
That is true.
Because they want the control over you.
Mm-hmm.
But also, when I was having a conversation with John, I think it was last night, I said, it's also sometimes like what context use it in a sentence when you're saying something to somebody.
Right.
Because I could say like, crap, John, and I'm meaning it in a negative way towards you, to show my anger or my frustration with you.
Mm-hmm.
So in that aspect, that could be deemed as a curse word.
He's talking about like you could use any word. It's not the power is not in the word. It's in the intention of the heart. Like if you start yelling at somebody, and out of anger.
I mean, if you're trying to demean somebody,
yeah,
that just ain't
You're
love.
not using that word at all.
No,
yeah, it's not out. In other words, that's not out of love. Then that could be an issue. But you could call somebody a buttercup hatefully if it's coming from a place that's not of love.
Right.
Then that's an issue. It has nothing. There's no power in the actual word. It's the intent. And where does it come from?
Right. Because I don't know why I thought about this today, but a memory came up when I couldn't have probably been much more than, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old. We was at church, and I don't remember what the kid did, but I told him to go to hell. And when they told on me, when Dad got me home, well, his belt came off and he whooped my ass.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that because I told a kid to go to hell. And I cussed.
They tell people every service they're going to hell. So I don't know what the big deal is.
I don't even know if that word really gets used much in the pastor's sermons or not. I don't know.
All right.
I know it wasn't Pentecostal, but I don't know about
that. Oh yeah, I don't know either. Really,
I can't make a judgment call. So I
don't know. I'm just referring to the majority of churches I've been at. There is no specific, so don't anybody listening get upset. I'm not calling no church specifically out. Just the churches I was raised in. It was all about hell. So
hellfire and brimstone.
That's right.
Is that is biblical, correct?
Yeah.
Like there's a verse that talks about it.
Yeah, it talks about it.
And who wrote that book of the Bible? Do we know?
I can't even tell you where it's talked about. To be honest, I haven't. Honestly, we ain't been through talking about hell at all because it just doesn't even matter.
Right, I know.
Yeah, so that's just
our
used for
focus
a scare tactic.
Trying to get people to understand that, they got to seek the kingdom.
Yeah,
and then they'll know the things that they need to know while they're here.
Yep. Mostly hell is used for a control mechanism by the church. Keep you scared, keep you fearful. And fear and guilt, that's their control mechanism. So as long as they can keep you feeling guilty and keep you afraid of something.
Yeah, because I'm pretty certain there was a conversation I had with you, or it may have been one of your guys' videos talking about how, someone goes to a church that's never been to church and they hear the pastor talking about, do you want to go to hell, or do you want to invite this spirit into your heart and ask God to forgive you your sins, because if you don't, you could wind up going to hell. And that's true. It's like it puts fear in somebody.
Yeah. They're like, crap, I heard about that place. I don't want to go.
No matter how well, it's no matter how well a church may sugarcoat that, that's what it is.
Yeah.
They're scaring someone.
And fears of the devil.
Fears of the devil.
No matter which way, no matter what way you want to put it, fears of the devil.
And that made sense to me. Like I said, it was probably one of your guys' videos.
Yeah, we've talked about fear and guilt.
Wow. I don't know. Just these last several months, just looking at everything from a different perspective, it almost kind of makes me like almost mad. Like the last
Yep.
You go through
30, 5 years of my life. Like,
Yeah. It's,
you know,
dude, and listen,
that's an eye-opening thing.
that whole part about you getting mad about it, it actually talks about that in the book of Thomas. You know what verse I'm talking about, Josh?
I'm not sure
Where, like,
what part of it you're talking about. What?
but it talks about when you find truth. At first, it's like, you know, I can't remember how to word for word phrase it, but it's it's intriguing, and then you get to it's like, you know, real, and then all of a sudden you get angry, and then you rule over all. You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, it's part of the process. Like you got to make it through those stages, because
Yep.
Now hold on, I'm not seeing I'm not finding the book of Thomas in the Bible.
Exactly.
Oh, it's in the missing books that was taken out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and
so
the four Gospels. It was the source for the four Gospels that were written.
It's literally what the four Gospels are based upon, but we can't have it itself.
Right. Too much truth in that book. We gotta hide it.
And Jeremy's like, oh, so they didn't want us to know that. Oh, yep, of course.
And
of course.
That, you know, I mean, that's another thing. It's like, since I was little, been taught to, you know, read and trust in every word in that book of the Bible.
Right.
Well, how am I supposed to when stuff has been removed?
Yep.
You know?
And the thing is like, trust in every word in that Bible, but only under the lens of what the doctrine of the church says. Like, don't be getting nothing. Don't get no revelations of your own now, because that would be crazy.
Yeah, because God just wouldn't give you revelation; He'd have to give it to everybody.
Right. But I don't know. I'm definitely happy with a lot happier with where I am at right now, for sure, without a doubt.
Right.
You know, and just
don't get too used to it though, because growth comes quick. You're just gonna keep going and going and going. Like, I feel like I've lived 1,000 years in the last 10 months.
Yeah,
like, for the amount of stuff,
ridiculous.
Yeah,
and like, I don't know if it comes off the way we try to explain to people that what has been revealed to us that we bring onto the show isn't even. This is just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff the deeper things we do know. if we said some of these things, there would be people, literally people. When it talks about people seeing the truth finally and them dying, yeah. Yeah, seriously.
It's crazy. Like, a lot of stuff we want to talk about, like,
because we can't, like, these people, they're not. It's not time to reveal that stuff yet. We will in time.
I've had talks and stuff, and I've talked a lot of stuff to Jeremy and stuff, and he seems to be able to handle it. And then even when we talked to Miss Cindy, we started dumping stuff, right? Like, and you're like, how much can you say?
Yeah, like, how far down this road do we really want to go right now? Because
some
of these roads, the reality is we know they're going to get to the point where they're going to be doing this themselves.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that there's a lot of stuff you can't say, because then they're like, well, how'd you get to that point? How do you get to that thought? Well, then it would take so long to talk about it that nobody's going to watch that kind of video, right? It would be like 6-7 hours.
We've put out like 40, I think pretty much close to 40 something videos maybe. And literally, we're scratching the surface of all this.
Yeah.
And
like, there's so much we don't even know. There's so much we don't know. Like, preachers probably won't say that. We'll say that. There's so much we don't even know still. that there's so much to learn, and that's why we keep focused and keep growing, and it's actually addicting.
Yeah,
It's addictive.
it's just who we are. I mean,
yeah.
And every person that we have found that is fully into the kingdom, this is who they are now. This is all they do. This is the life.
Like, I admit, I watch some football, but that's about all I can do opposite of this. But what was your other question, Jeremy? You had another thing that
hold on a minute. Wait, hold on.
Oh, okay.
So,
something else.
Typical the cursing that the church talks about now is that, and then they lump that in with taking the Lord's name in vain.
Yeah.
Like, this is all one big category now. Like,
which is taking the Lord's name in vain, they would say saying GD. Right, would be the Lord's name in vain. Or
it could be.
Or saying Jesus Christ or something.
It could be, but it's more focused actually on the oath that you took.
Yep. Mm-hmm. In reality. This is in reality, Jeremy. Yep.
Yeah.
Now explain what do you mean oath?
Do what?
What do you mean by oath that we took?
Well, your church has a covenant. That's an oath. When you went down and get saved, that's another oath.
Yep.
When you took a vow to get married, that's another oath. When you make a promise about anything, that's another oath.
Yep.
And
there's a lot of oaths we take.
Yeah, too many. And
I mean, you sign up you sign a contract for a house.
When you invoke the Lord's name in doing those things, you made a vow to him. You made an oath to him. You've invoked him into that vow.
So say when you get married and then the pastor says, by the power invested in me by God, right? So you're swearing to a contract under God's name,
right?
That you stay in this marriage, and this is Yahweh we're talking about, not the Father, but Yahweh.
Correct.
So you got to stick by that oath now. And how many people stick by that oath?
I'm going to say no.
Not very many anymore. Yeah. Not very many.
Like a couple of videos ago, you guys were talking about how some people that stayed married for 25, 35 years, and the only reason why they weren't divorcing was because
they were afraid they would sin. Yeah.
They were afraid they would sin, right? But they're causing themselves probably more sin staying together and staying unhappy and mad, upset.
Mm-hmm.
At the person.
Yeah, hating somebody.
So they're building more hatred in their heart.
Yeah.
Versus feeling like they're stuck to that contract, so they can't be freed.
Right. Absolutely.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, I know I talked to you about this the other day, that I know. I'm not going to say the I can't think of the word right now, but I'm not going to say what denomination of church is, but I know one of them. If you're trying to achieve a higher role in the church, be it of a someone that passes off the offering plate, or you're trying to become an elder, a deacon, an associate pastor, if you've been married once and divorced, you're not allowed to.
That's the majority.
That's the majority.
That's the majority of denominations. Brother Jeffrey, that me and Josh listened to, he lost his church. He was an Assembly of God. Wasn't it Assembly of God?
I think so.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I think it's Assembly of God, but it doesn't really matter. He was a pastor. His wife cheated on him with the organ player, and he lost his church because she filed for divorce also. She cheated. She filed for divorce. He lost his church and his livelihood. Because in that denomination, you cannot be divorced and be a pastor. Isn't that messed up?
Even though the wife committed adultery.
Yeah. But since there was a divorce, see what I'm saying? Like, he could have divorced. Now, here's the deal. The Bible talks about the only way out of a marriage is from death or divorce, fornication. Right?
That was the point I was about to make. It says in there,
so adultery. It don't make sense. Yeah,
adultery is one of the reasons you could get divorced.
Yeah, so it doesn't even make sense. See,
that's a double standard.
Yeah, that's absolutely. But you know what? It's a giant organization, so who's going to fight them?
All right, they're the ones that set the rules. You know.
Yep.
Not the actual book they're supposed to believe in, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
So then who do they believe is the arbiter of truth when they're making rules and regulations that go against what the Bible says, right?
They're the arbiter of truth. It doesn't matter what the Bible says. And it never has.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They say they believe
when you
in
get
Yahweh.
To it, they're the ones saying what truth is. If they have a covenant for you to join the church, it goes against what Jesus said. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
He said, don't take vows, don't take oaths.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the so go ahead and finish what you're saying though about taking his name in vain.
Well, over here in Exodus 27.
Exodus what, 2010?
27.
20 verse 7 or Exodus chapter 27?
27.
Verse 7. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. And the Lord here, just so everyone knows, is Yahovah.
Yahweh.
Yahweh. Yep.
Yeah. The Good News Translation just states, "Do not use my name for evil purposes, for I, the Lord your God, will punish anyone who misuses my name."
Yeah. And the Lord there is Yahweh. So he's the one warning us, don't use his name wrong.
Yeah, because I thought a loving father doesn't punish.
Well, that and he don't have a name.
Mm-hmm.
He's just called Father here anyway.
Right. And then in Leviticus 19:12 it says, "Do not swear falsely by my name, or so profane the name of the Lord, or the name of the God. I am the Lord."
Mm-hmm.
Now, what was that again? Leviticus what? Leviticus 19.
12.
Verse 12?
Yep.
Well, here's what mine says. "Do not make a promise in my name if you do not intend to keep it. That brings disgrace on my name. I am the Lord your God."
Yep.
Well, there he is right there saying again, don't take an oath.
Yep.
Right there.
Unless
you intend to keep it. Go ahead.
Imagine that even Yahweh said it.
and this is what Jesus reaffirmed in the New Testament. If you've already made the vow, you have to honor the vow.
Yeah.
And that gets into some tricky things that we'll have to talk about, I guess. So Matthew 5:33. Again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, "Do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows you have made. So that was Yahweh's, he was referring back to what Yahweh said. But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all. Period. No vows. No oaths. No swearing. Either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Nor should you swear by your head, for you cannot even make one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one.
I said that exact same last line.
So if your church has a covenant and they make you take a vow or ask you to take a vow, that is of the devil. Period.
Yep. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. It should be like this. Do you agree to uphold, the beliefs of this church? Yeah. Or no. And I ain't making no promises about it. Thank you.
Well, the thing is, there shouldn't even be any of that anyway.
No. Shouldn't even go that far.
Because why are we holding true to this particular version of what somebody believes? Somebody else believes. Because then you get back into a whole argument. Which one of you has it right? All of you can't have it right. And this is why they all believe that the other one's going to hell. Because we have the only truth. This is the real truth.
The thing is that they all have to believe the exact same. And if they don't believe the exact same, well, what happens there is, we end up with another denomination because there's a split off.
Right. And this
over one little thing. That's how we got another United Methodist. Now you got the United Methodist and the traditional Methodist.
Right. And that's what I was trying to tell the pastor the other day is, well, the original was, at least, I mean, we can say Constantine. He's the one that gave us the books anyway together in one form. So why don't you believe like they did back then? If that's, what we're going on, right? They had the truth right then. So why are you descending from the truth that was already revealed to them?
There's been so many split offs since then, and stuff added and taken away. And
so again, you guys are 100% right. How does any of them know which one's right?
Exactly. They don't.
Because Jesus told them that their version was right.
Right. Well, that and the people that live today in the churches today, they believe their part and their doctrine's correct because some other man told them so.
It was revealed to them that their doctrine was correct and everybody else's was wrong.
I'm just talking about like you get a person in a church today. They believe theirs was right because their mom and dad told them that it was right, and that's where they were raised.
That's what I'm saying. And somebody down the line said God revealed this to them, that this was right,
exactly,
and everybody else is wrong.
Sure. Oh yeah, somebody that started the denomination or the religion or whatever. God came to me in a revelation, or I seen Jesus in a dream, or blah 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 blah. And just like Paul got his revelation when Jesus knocked him off the horse in the desert
and
sent him on a special mission.
Special mission with no favoritism.
I
don't think I've heard that one.
Oh, that's why Paul decided to stop killing Christians and started teaching about Jesus, and he ends up with about 2/3 of the New Testament is written by him.
Yeah.
And majority of it lies. Yeah. Now, it's me and Josh don't say, Jesus came and knocked me off my couch and he told us to start a channel because we're special like that. No, we're just talking about what the Father reveals to us. That's it. Paul's around telling you, you gotta believe this way. You gotta believe this way. You gotta believe this. No,
I mean,
no,
You're definitely right, though. Somewhere along the lines of time, I guess, again, you said someone didn't agree with what this pastor was saying in the church or whatever at the time it was, and they decided to break off
Mm-hmm.
and say, okay, I'm going to start this denomination.
Yep.
And this is going to be different. I'm going to change this rule because I don't like it.
Yep.
I mean, that's more or less what happened.
yeah.
That's how you get churches down there by where Josh lives that dance around with snakes during the service.
Yep.
They base their whole religion on one scripture.
And here's the crazy thing, right? When Augustine done it, or whoever, whatever church or denomination done this, according to Paul, they were evil and of the devil, and that they are cursed now because they did not obey the ruling authority, which was the Roman Catholic Church.
Yep.
The original church that God instituted from according to Paul in Romans 13.
Yeah.
So they don't even believe their own Bible. They just make whatever they want up.
Mm-hmm. In which we're not saying that
Paul's right. We're not saying that at all.
Paul's right.
That's the whole point. But they believe he's they hold his writings in more esteem than anything Jesus said.
Ever. Yeah.
Yet they don't even really believe what he said. They pick and choose.
Right. That's why we say people shouldn't call themselves Christians. They should call themselves Apollyans.
Apollyons. That's what they should call them.
Yeah, Apollyons.
Interesting.
The destroyer. Apollyon.
That's a destroyer?
That's the Antichrist, according to the church.
And
Abaddon in the Greek. Abaddon in the Greek. Apollyon.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Or that might
and
be
you
vice
noticed
versa.
it even. And you know, Jeremy's even noticed it now, to where we can quote the words of Jesus nonstop, and the church will turn around and quote Paul back at us.
Mm-hmm.
Try to prove us wrong by using Paul. Mm-hmm.
Well, Paul said this.
Every
time.
time.
So who are you going to believe? Well, they're going to believe Paul. We're going to believe Jesus.
Yeah. I'll choose the guy that they say they center their beliefs upon, even though they don't. So,
Wow.
I guess we achieved that cuss words don't mean crap. That has nothing to do with the Father.
No, I just kind of wanted to.
But here's the thing too, like that law, there is a truth in those laws, but they're not physical. They're not of this world.
Yeah,
those are actually based upon the real truth.
Right, because everything.
The name that you're not supposed to take in vain is.
Get ready for this.
I don't know. You want to say it, John?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You started
okay.
it.
The name that you're not supposed to take in vain is the same name that you're not supposed to blaspheme against, and it's this blasphemy of your own spirit of love within you.
Yep.
He was cutting out really bad.
Yeah, really bad.
Okay. Okay. So
it's not going to show up on the video. It's just with us.
Yeah. So the name that you're not supposed to take in vain or blaspheme is the blasphemy of your own spirit within you of love.
Yeah. because that's the Father in your kingdom, right?
Right.
Can't blaspheme the Father.
And this is what you do if you try to take, like, if I tried to take the information that I know now and rule over people with the information I have and declare myself the only God,
Mm-hmm.
that would be blasphemy against myself, like the true self of love.
Yeah. That's taking it in vain, vanity.
Yes.
Saying you're the only one. That's how
and
Yahweh
saying that
messed up.
and saying that, like, it's not the love inside of me, right, that gets the glory. It's me.
But,
I deserve the praise and the worship, and these peoples have to worship me.
It's kind of like somebody like David Koresh, right?
Exactly.
Remember
like
the wacko from Waco.
Right.
He's the new Jesus. He's God on earth. He's the one.
This is the same thing the Catholics do with the Pope.
Yep. That's in vain. That's God's name in vain, right there, 100%.
Because he does.
Yeah,
they do the same thing. They believe they believe he's God on earth, his instrument on earth, and when he speaks, God speaks.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand how they don't even get that. I don't think Yahweh even likes that. Yahweh's jealous. Why would he want to give any kind of praise to a man here? You know what I mean? So they're really kind of blaspheming Yahweh and the Father.
Because just like Paul, he thinks he's special.
Yeah.
And this is why when Jesus told us we were all gods, and you say this in a church, then they think that you're taking the Lord's name in vain. No, I know who I am. And this is why when we was talking with the pastor, and I said, "Are you a god?" Like Jesus said, "Do you believe what he said?" He said it. He said, "No, I'm not." And I said, "Exactly. You're not, because you're not one of the sons of God.
Because unless you believe you are, you're not.
You can't come into the kingdom unless it's revealed to you who you are."
Yep.
We're
sovereign and divine.
This is the things that come back to your remembrance that the church never talks about.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have no clue what any of that is.
Why do you need something to come back to your remembrance when you got them to tell you everything you need to know?
Right.
Right. It's like you like we said earlier on, you're not seeking the kingdom just to have anything brought back to your remembrance. They have all the truth you need already. It's in the doctrine. Just ask the pastor; he'll tell you everything you need to know. There's no room for revelation. So it's crazy when you think about it. Very egotistical.
Right, but just to use, for example, all those years ago when me and you was going to Full Life on Sherman and West Valley, and I'll never forget the day when I pulled up in the back of the pastor's house, and I can't remember if I was playing
Whitney Houston.
Was I playing Whitney Houston?
It was Whitney Houston. I know what you're talking about exactly.
And when I walked in there, I can't remember if he was yelling at me, if he was talking to the pastor that I was going to go to hell.
I was in the backyard, and me and Tim and our buddy Charles, we were burning we had the barbecue grill, burning Playboy magazines and secular music CDs and anything that we deemed evil. and Jeremy pulled up playing Whitney Houston, and I told him he's going to go to hell because he's listening to Whitney Houston. A little bit overzealous and self-righteous there, I would say now.
I would say more than a little, but
said that. That part is I said that, and I forget the point I was going to make.
I don't know where you go with
it. Was what Josh just said before that.
Okay.
I forget the point I was going to make. Man, I hate getting older.
Yeah.
What was you saying, Josh? Help me out here.
That's going to be kind of hard because I don't remember half the stuff that I say on these videos.
Oh man.
Yeah, you don't. You can't really ask us to backtrack because once it comes out, it's out. It's just gone.
Oh, okay. So at the time, if I remember right, the pastor said, "Well, I think he said, well, John, have you felt conviction in your heart for listening to that music?" And he said, yes. And he asked me, and I said, no. So I remember, if I'm saying this correctly, he was saying, well, each of us have our own conviction.
Yeah. Even though his wife believed if God told one person that it was wrong, I asked her, shouldn't it be wrong for everybody? And she said, yes.
Well, what I'm getting at is now we are older and we are wiser.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, we can apply that still right here to our life today. I could say, I come over to your house and you're drinking a beer. I'm like, hey man, you shouldn't be drinking that because I feel conviction of drinking alcohol and you don't. Well, now that's not saying getting drunk. I'm saying just have an alcoholic drink.
Right.
So it's kind of the same thing where we are at now as far as our walk with the Father.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's kind of that way, but in reality, nothing that's deemed sin in this world that the world looks at as sin is really sin. The only sin is not loving and not finding the kingdom. Like, that's really the only sin. So, it doesn't matter if somebody's having a drink. It doesn't matter about me. If the church says it's wrong, they have no clue. They have literally no clue.
This is right, and this is what we were kind of trying to explain to Pastor, and it's really hard to explain this because they're not in love, so they have no concept of even the idea of what we're saying. Because it's beyond them. They don't know. And to try to explain to you that what someone deems as sin is sin, but in the kingdom, you're the one ruling.
Yeah.
And you're ruling from a place of love. So only when you break love, this is you actually stepping out of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And this is you picking back up the old you, the soul part of you. And this is what Jesus talked about. No one takes my life from me. I can pick it up or lay it down. I was given that authority by my Father. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about being in the kingdom or being out of the kingdom. Right? So, and this is what Paul said. He said, there's nothing in an evil of itself. It's what you make of it that's makes it evil or not evil, in what your perception and belief of that is. But it's coming from a place of love. So no, love isn't going to do certain things. It's not going to murder. But it's not me telling everyone they can't do that, because it's not my place, for one. And when you make rules, you take it out of the spiritual realm of love and you put it into an arbitrary, failing system of fleetingness that's all going to pass away, which we call reality here.
Basically, if you're in the kingdom, you're going to know I'm not supposed to murder somebody because that's not love. I know I'm not supposed to try to steal from my brother or whatever because that's not out of love.
Right. But when you try to place those rules and regulations on a soul that misses the mark, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
But the point I make now is how many people by now that go to church are hypocrites, meaning they profess that they love Jesus and that Jesus died on the cross for their sins, and you know, and they're happy-go-lucky in church and greeting and talking to everybody. And the minute someone walks in that is homosexual, they will immediately judge that person.
Yep.
And why do I say this? Because I used to be that hypocritical person.
Right. We all.
And I'm not that person no more, and I'm very proud to say that.
Right. We all were those people. You know what I'm saying? We all were those people.
Now, granted, I'm not talking just about someone that is homosexual. A drunk could walk into a church that's peed their pants and is down on their luck and depressed. People would judge that individual.
Oh, absolutely.
So, with what I'm getting at is when we're young children, 2, 3, 4 years old, all we know is love. When we're a baby, we're not, you know, you could set a white baby down next to a baby of Japanese or Mexican or whatever race, and those two children are going to love each other. They're not going to look at the color of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we should be today. And the fact is, this crappy world that Yahweh rules over and created is not where we're at. That's the point I was going to make earlier. Was that so many times I hear people say, "Why do children get cancer? Why do children die?" Well, when you have a corrupt, messed up world like we do, you can't blame that on the Father.
No, he had nothing to do with it.
He had nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing at all to do with that.
Yahweh's craftsmanship is just isn't perfect.
Mm-hmm. not in the slightest.
Nah, he's corrupt, so his craftsmanship is corrupt. And he's flawed, so his craftsmanship is flawed. So it happens. And it has nothing to do with original sin by Adam and Eve either. I mean, we've addressed that plenty enough.
Basically, a God that's corrupt, blaming others for his mistakes.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone who's jealous that does that, right? Imagine that.
Oh, sure.
You know, if you really truly think about that point, like, you know, the Father puts a man and a woman on some grass and says, "You are a man, you're a woman. Now don't eat that thing hanging from that. See the deal coming out of the ground and growing up? You know, it's got those leafy things on there. Don't eat the fruit coming off that tree." Does that really make sense? It doesn't.
Not really.
It really doesn't. It's like, why would the Father put the temptation there in front of us from the get-go?
The reality
I see what you mean.
The reality is he wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't. Wouldn't even put it there for you to screw up.
Because
that's setting a stumbling block in front of you right. To see if you'll do it.
Because
the Father is nothing but love.
Mm-hmm.
because
So
God wouldn't tempt himself.
Nope. Why would he tempt himself? He's in all of us.
the point I'm making here is if you really look at that whole story, situation, whatever you want to call it, how can anyone not see the truth in that?
Mm-hmm.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Just like the other night, when we was having the conversation, and that person left, and then we was talking about how much that person couldn't get past the flesh.
Yeah. Well, the whole church can't get past the flesh. That's just
Can't
not
get
one
past the
person.
flesh.
The whole belief system is based upon the things in this realm, this earthly realm, the flesh, and this world around us. And it's that whole fact that we see in a three-dimensional world. If we can't see it, taste it, touch it, smell it, it's almost impossible for us to see that it's real. When what Jesus talked about, which is the Father, which is love within all of us, is not something you can see, taste, touch, smell, hear, right? So it's like they're incapable of seeing it. You got to go deeper than the surface. We always talk about this. It's deeper than this three-dimensional place.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And the reason they can't, the reason they can't is because they're still in the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
To move beyond the flesh, you have to go to the spirit.
Right.
And that means you have to forsake the flesh.
And literally all it is the switch, the change of perception. You start seeing things different, and you start seeking the kingdom, literally, and everything changes. You die to this place. It means nothing anymore. You know?
Right. Very much.
Next.
Well, I was gonna just like end that subject on this. Like, the reason why they can't see it is because literally they can't see. They are the blind leading the blind.
Mm-hmm.
They see nothing as spiritual. They'll say certain things in the word of spiritual, but then it always comes back to the flesh.
Yeah.
Like, and the people who transcribed the books that we do have weren't in the kingdom, so they transcribed everything from a flesh point of view. Well, what do you get? You get an indoctrination of a flesh point of view.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with any of that.
That's how we got the King James version of it. Transcribed and printed by people that had no truth in them. They only seen stuff in the flesh. That's why if it's something that was spiritual, sounded too spiritual, they pulled it out because they had no clue what it even meant. Like, this is just a bunch of nonsense. That's why you hear from and people that have doctrines of divinity today, like my dad, saying, "Well, you don't have those books because they're not relevant for today." Oh, they sounded too spiritual. They took them out.
Right, but how did
not
God,
relevant for today?
How did
not
God
relevant for today?
How did God use people in darkness to fulfill His purpose if there's no light in them? He can't.
Yep. Mm-mm.
So you said that those books are not relevant for today.
That's That's the teaching of the church. Yeah. You go to Bible college, you get all these theologians. They absolutely believe that Constantine and the Council of Nicaea altered the Bible and took things out of it because they were, and even up to King James time, that the Holy Spirit led these men to take it out because it wasn't relevant and wasn't needed. Well, then why did God tell the people to write it in the first darn place, right?
But there's no light in them,
Right.
so how what God were they serving?
Exactly.
I'm just trying to think of um there's probably certain parts in the Old Testament that aren't relevant for today as well. Like, the current Old Testament of the Bible.
Right.
Um, one thing in there, of course, is says something about do not mark your body.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no
That's
tattoos.
part of the laws. Part of the laws.
Other laws, right?
Yeah, Moses, which is our accuser. And see, the fact is that none of that matters. None of it matters. If it ain't referring to something to do with love, don't matter.
Right. Exactly.
Like, is me putting some ink on my skin, is that going against the Father? Is it sinning against love? No.
No, because the flesh counts for nothing.
Exactly. Why is writing on flesh that counts for nothing, that is literally worthless, a sin? It's not. That's nonsense. But that's if you believe what Jesus said, that this flesh counts for nothing. The church, again, the majority of the doctrine and churches will say it's a sin.
A lot of them would, yeah. And why? Because then they go back to the Old Testament, the old rules, old
Moses
Yahweh
said
laws.
here,
Yep.
Moses said from Yahweh, this, well, you don't believe Jesus then. It's all the time, Jeremy. So that's the point. All the time, all the beliefs point to something other than what Jesus said. But yet, they say they serve Jesus.
Yeah.
No, it's just not true. So now they're even making themselves a liar.
Well, maybe down the line we can get a church started called the Truth Church. If you're not searching the truth, if you're not searching for the truth, then don't come in here.
Yeah, that's just it. We don't want a church either, because Jesus told him not to. Peter wanted to build a tent.
Right.
To remember.
3 of them, actually.
Yeah, 2 of them. Yeah, 3. To establish a place to remember, the thing that happened here. And Jesus said, no, just take what you saw, go out and tell it to everybody. Like, they don't need no building.
Very true.
Now, you want truth. There ain't a building to go to or a person to listen to specifically. You, not even us. You can get truth if you're really truly seeking the kingdom. You'll find the kingdom everywhere. You'll see truth anyway, everywhere.
And once you're in the kingdom, you know where truth actually comes from, and there's not any person that you can listen to give you anything to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the truth that you have comes from your kingdom within you. And that's why we say there's nothing we can say. We're liars, like Jesus said, all men are liars. That includes me. Josh will tell you the same thing, and that includes him.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why we say if there's something we say that resonates in your spirit, that was just words you heard that resonated in love, the spirit and the kingdom in you.
Because you're the ruler of the kingdom in you.
Yeah. It just jogged your spiritual memory of the truth you already had in the first place. It wasn't us telling you anything. We literally gave you nothing. Nothing. So that's why people can't even be like, well, thank you for, doing what you're doing. The stuff you're saying really helped me out, blah, blah, blah. I did nothing. You can't thank me for something I didn't do. It was your truth, right? In your kingdom.
Speaking to you.
Speaking to you. We have nothing to do with it. When we say, we are literally just saying what the Father told us for us. Josh is saying what the Father told him for him. I'm saying what the Father told me for me. Do we happen to agree on a lot of things? Yes. Right? Because the light that entereth every man here when they come here is from the same place. So you're going to have a lot of the same truth.
In the end, though, how do I say this? This is letting you guys know, each of you, between the two of you, that neither one of you are nuts, and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, at first I thought me and Josh were both nuts. I thought I have lost my crap, and so is Josh. What the heck happened? I almost stopped talking to him.
Yeah.
Straight up. I thought the devil's using both of us, and I have to disconnect with my friend because something funky is going on with us. Literally, that's what I thought.
Yeah, because you said that the other night that, I remember you said, you think I just woke up after 43 years and just decided that I'm going to basically go against everything I've been taught since I was like 5 years old.
Everything in the entire world, right? Just I'm going to turn it upside down and backwards. No.
That's what I also said the other night. That's just said, this isn't anything easy to swallow.
No.
To think about what we've been taught since we was young children. Everything.
Yeah.
And to everything concerning the death of Jesus, a lot of scriptures in the Bible. This has been hard to swallow. This has not been easy.
Hard to swallow. We've almost choked to death a few times.
Right.
Yeah, there was a few times, like, yeah, it was pretty close to being like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of times I'd find stuff, or Josh would call and say something, and I'd be thinking, screw that. Heck no. Nope. I was down with this up until now, but nope.
Right.
Nah, that ain't me. But then you sit there and you sit back and you look at it and you're like, and after a little bit, or sometimes, it's a week or two later and you get another scripture and you're like, wow, crap. Okay. That just put the puzzle together.
I always
like
the conversations me and John have. Like, he'll get revealed a truth or something. He'll call me and tell me about it. And I'm like, okay. And then, like, a week or two later, I call him. Saying, dude, saying the same thing he said.
Yeah. And vice versa. He'll say something, I'll be like, okay. And I'll even say, like, well, how did you get to that? How did the Father reveal that to you? Like, I'm trying to see from what perspective he's seeing it, because there ain't nothing wrong with seeing why somebody believes something and how they may have got to that revelation, right?
Right.
But then, even though I've seen it, I'd be like, okay, I could see how Josh saw that. I could see how the Father showed him that based upon where he is in his life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, like you said, a couple weeks later, a month later, boom, it hits me like a brick. And I call him up, dude, I totally got it. Like, I understood what you were saying, but now I received it. It's my revelation now, right?
Now it's yours, yeah.
Now it's truly mine. I understood the concept, but now it's my truth, right? Because I've seen it clearly. And that's the way stuff happens like that. This is like an ongoing thing. It's all fluid.
So let me tell you one of the first things that I told John that pretty much blew his mind. And this This is probably one of the main things he's talking about right here. So after we both woke up, and I called John that night, and I was like, dude, I think I'm saved. And I was like, no, I'm born again.
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. I'm like, dude, why are you laughing, man? I'm serious, dude. I don't know what the crap I've been doing for the last, 30-something years, but I know who I am now. I know this is real.
We hadn't talked for 3 days. We had not talked for 3 days until then.
3 days and 3 nights, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After we watched that video, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was that night or the next night. Me and him was talking, and I told him straight up, I was like, John, I was like, this is going to be kind of hard for you. I think it's going to be kind of hard for you. I was like, there's no such thing as sin.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
Yeah, that's exactly what I heard. I'm like, okay. I was like, I'm just letting you know, you're going to get this sometime. There's no such thing as sin, because we're in a different realm. We're not of this world anymore. We're taken from this place.
yeah.
We are in the kingdom, and we're dealing with love now. And we're judging things, and I say that loosely, based upon love.
Yeah.
Because of who we are now. It's not like it's not arbitrary putting rules and regulations on people. No.
Right, and he's talking about sin is in this realm. He got the revelation that the only sin is not loving. That like the superficial, fleshly things that are talked about as sin in this realm, in this life.
Right, and that's picking back up the former when you do those things. Yeah. Like those things never come from the place of love. Never. Mm-hmm. It's impossible. Because the love that's in you is the Father. And the Father retains his sovereignty and his holiness.
Mm-hmm.
So when you step outside of love, it's stepping outside of the kingdom. And then you have to make corrections and come back into the kingdom. Correct the situation that you screwed up on.
Yeah.
From your own understanding, not someone else's telling you, from the point of view of love, and return back to love.
Yeah, and we step out. We ain't even trying to tell people, we never do anything opposite of love, right? Outside of love. Because it happens, right? Things happen. You just got to shake that off, though, as quick as possible and get back to the kingdom.
I gave that analogy the other day about Jesus going into the temple and beating everybody with the whip.
Yeah.
He stepped out of the kingdom. I don't care what the church says. That's what happened.
And he even told us the Father gave him that right. He could pick the soul up or lay it down.
Or lay it down at his will, because he had the authority to do so.
Yeah. And we've seen it, Jeremy. We've had conversations about how both of us have stepped outside of love, right? Stepped back into the flesh. Right. And it was at our will. We made that decision to get pissed off and get all fleshly, right? And that's why, the one conversation I had said, are you disappointed in your actions? Yeah. Well, quit. Just get over that. Right. Because then we got to step back in love as quick as we can. We don't want to linger around, feeling sorry and stuff, because that's just what the enemy wants anyway. So the fact that it happens. We just need to get over and get back.
Right.
Because it's too good in here, right? This is too good. The peace that passes all understanding, like living in peace more than you ever had before, loving people stronger than you ever had before. you know, and the abundance, like those things are going to increase too. The abundance, even in this life, is going to increase.
See, and
So,
here's another difference between like how we see things in the church too, is that you were giving power and authority to rule within your kingdom, and when you violate someone else's kingdom, you have to go and make basically restitution.
yeah,
This is where you go and uh, repent for what you've done wrong from the church's perspective.
that's repentance, apologizing to somebody for messing up. You know,
But it's coming
that's
from
true repentance.
you. It's coming from inside of you, true repentance of wanting
Yep.
to make what you've done wrong right. It's not because you're following rules that someone set that they said was wrong, and that you're going to be
Yeah.
punished for eternity for breaking these arbitrary rules that they created.
Hmm.
So, is there any more questions on that issue?
No, no.
That went from cuss words to all kinds of stuff. We call this one freestyle conversations.
Actually, what you called it,
No.
"Thou shalt not."
It fits. A lot of stuff the church has told us we should not.
You should not what?
That we should not. Thou shalt not. The church tells us thou shalt not do anything, really.
Oh yeah.
And don't take
That's
a
not
breath the
true.
wrong way.
Thou shalt pay your tithes.
Oh, crap. There's one we can do. And show up on a regular basis. Jeremy had a question about tithes. We kind of touched it a little bit. About, no, did we even bring that up?
Nope.
You mean tonight? No.
Jeremy was talking about the paying of tithes.
Right.
Should we go into that, or how long we've been going?
At this point, it don't matter. If you guys want to go, let's go.
Well, if we go over too far over an hour, Jeremy won't watch the video.
We're like I said, we're long past that. So
Yeah. I'm fighting to kind of stay awake here, honestly. So if we can cover it pretty quick, then yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay. Well,
I mean,
what you got,
I
Josh?
can make it pretty quick.
Make it pretty quick.
Well,
make it pretty quick.
Just that in the Bible, apparently he talks about paying your tithes, and right along the line it became 10% and
mandatory.
And who actually spoke about this? Who said it?
Well, it came from Yahweh, and he was telling the Jewish people to pay 10% of their first fruits, and 10% basically of what they got for the year.
Yeah.
Like whatever they accumulated for that year, they had to pay 10%, and they had to pay first fruits, which was the first harvest of that they would receive from their crops. So that's where Yahweh instituted that at. But that wasn't the first time tithes happened. The first time tithes happened was with Abraham, who was following Yahweh, paid tithes to Melchizedek of 10% to his god Elyon, which we know as Allah, but not the modern Allah. That story's been rewritten. It was actually Anu, if in the Sumerian, it was the higher person than Yahweh, his dad. that he paid
The
tithes
one that
to.
gave Yahweh Israel as
portion.
his portion. Yeah.
So then, from the biblical point of view, when Yahweh casted his throne above the stars of heaven, which, if you know who you are, you were a star of heaven. That's why it says we will be like the angels, because the original stars of heaven were actually in a different realm. But that's another story. That he wanted now tithes to himself. If he had to give tithes, then now the people below him are going to give tithes to him.
And that would be us.
Yep.
So that's why the church says
give 10%.
You know. But then Jesus says, give everything to Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yep.
All of it. So
if
what he's supposed to give. So what is Caesar's? And like the New Testament also says everything belongs to God. 10% is the Old Testament. New Testament says everything is God. So I don't see any Christians giving everything. I don't see no church plate overflowing like that. So ultimately, doesn't matter. The Father has no concern and no need with this earthly monetary system. He don't need any of it. Right?
Right.
Because he's not of this realm.
He's not of this place.
He doesn't use currency that's earthly. That's why Jesus said to Nicodemus, you don't even understand earthly things. How am I supposed to tell you about the kingdom?
I'll put it this way. If Jesus says this flesh counts for nothing, this living flesh that people consider their life, then how much more worthless is the money of this place? To the Father, none of it means anything.
Right.
Right.
But
now,
human life is priceless, right?
No, not according to Jesus, the Father said. So
the true life is priceless.
Yeah, that's love, though. Now, real quick, do we use this stuff for the things that we need in this, like food, clothing, stuff like that? Yeah, unless you're a farmer and you have a wife that makes all your clothes, but you're eventually going to need to buy something somewhere. So, is it a necessary evil? I guess you call it. I guess in some ways.
I would say no, because my father provides all that I need.
Well, the thing is, we're not to love it. That's for sure.
No, I never said to love it. I'm just saying that my father provides all that I need.
Well, you do the job to make it, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, who do you think my father is?
That's what I was going to touch on.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I was going to touch on is, it because of that, it takes people away from their home for X amount of hours every week because they got to go do to make that paper to be able to come home and take that paper to buy food, to buy water, to whatever. So at the same time, people out there will do some crazy stuff for money. People will kill for money. People will steal for money.
Yeah.
So,
but that's not out of love, That part ain't out of love.
It is essentially the root of evil. I mean, it really is.
Well, that's the love of it. Really, they love the money so much they're willing to do stuff against other people to get it. Your father. Listen, you're making money because your father. You earned it. The Father in you earned the money. You went out and made it happen. You made it happen.
Right. And in this day and age, without money, then you can't buy food or have water. So eventually you would die. I mean, your fleshly body would die.
As long as you're in the kingdom, that's not necessarily bad either.
Right.
But I know what you mean. I want to stick around and to be able to share with people and stuff for as long as possible. I feel like there's big things coming.
Well, yeah.
But, well, man, appreciate you coming on and stuff, and we'll definitely have you on again anytime you want to talk about stuff that's on your heart.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
And it's kind of cool. Two videos in a row. We had a special guest. Like we run a professional thing around here.
Yeah. That was my two main things I wanted to talk about.
Right on. I think we covered a lot of extra stuff too. I think it was really good.
Yeah.
So are you watching the Chiefs tomorrow?
Of course.
Heck yeah. I will say this. If you want to know truth, you have to love the Chiefs. No, I can say that. That's not true.
You already said that.
That's in my kingdom. I have Chiefs kingdom in my kingdom.
Yep, for sure.
That's right. Well, you want to break it down, man? People, listen, there's been a lot of views. I'm going to say real quick, just a little bit of channel news. Nearly 100 views in the last two videos. Almost 100 views. Nice. You know what that means? There should be a lot more subscribers on that number right there. So like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments. Almost 100 views. You should be seeing some more comments. So we appreciate them. You know, so you don't have to do it, but, you know, we'd like it.
John would like it, yes.
I would like it. Josh likes reading them too, whatever.
And again, as you guys always say, open invitation for someone that wants to debate.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about, you don't agree, you do agree. Well, if you don't, whatever, holler. We don't mind talking to people. We don't bite too hard anyway.
Yeah, because the point goes back to if any of us are wrong, then why not come on here and debate?
If you love your brother and you think they're wrong, wouldn't you vocalize it? Or are you just going to let people hang out there to dry?
No, you're supposed to condemn them to hell and move on.
That's right, but secretly behind their back, right?
Oh well. Oh well.
No, if I think somebody's in there, I'll be like, listen, you at least in the church narrative, isn't that what they're supposed to do? Oh, that person's lost. I need to tell them and let them know. I don't hear people doing that except back behind our back normally. So, anyway, Jeremy's right. You want to talk? Come on in here. We'll talk.
Yep.
You got anything to close off with, Josh?
Yes. Good news. If you end up hearing this, that's an open invitation for you as well. Anytime you want to come on.
That's right.
You can come on, speak some truths with us, and we'll make a day of it. And as always,
there you go.
We are the Last Awakening Warriors. And you, those people in there, do your Father's will. And be blessed.